Welcome back to Hockey North Weekly. I am your host, Tyler Lizotte, with Brendan Pollard. Brendan, how are you doing today?
Good. It was another busy sports weekend, but it was well worth it. Spruce Kings on Friday, Caribou on Saturday, UNBC basketball on the Sunday. Now recording this, so it was pretty productive. I would imagine it was pretty similar for you.
Yeah, very productive weekend here. The U18 AAA Caribou Cougars were in town hosting the Vancouver Northwest Hawks, and it was a very good weekend. Of course, Saturday night, Brendan, you were there. 3-3 tie at the end of it. For the most part, I think the Caribou Cougars played a good game. Defensively struggled a bit. The Hawks took advantage of the opportunities to pretty much equalize every lead the Cougars had, as the Cougars had 3 leads throughout that game, and still a big win here on a Sunday morning for the Caribou Cougars, skating out of the weekend with 3 out of 4 possible points, with the Circle K Classic hopes still alive, and I think overall the mood in the room here has been pretty good.
Yeah, it was a big improvement over last weekend's disappointment down in the Lower Mainland against Valley West. 3 out of 4 points, as you mentioned, a much more solid effort in Sunday's 3-1 win. Jackson Dicker picking up the win in net. Jackson, of course, getting a start on Friday for the Williams Lake Mustangs, and a 9-5 victory in his first KIJHL start. So an interesting week for Jackson Dicker, as he played 2 games, 2 wins, 2 different levels. He's also, of course, property of the Seattle Thunderbirds, but nice to see him get a chance to at least play 1 game with his hometown Mustangs while he can. Dicker, of course, looking to lead the Caribou Cougars very, very far this season.
Yeah, I know Jackson Dicker has taken really big steps forward in his development here with the Caribou Cougars program. You look where he came in as a 16-year-old last year, playing behind the likes of Ryder Green, who's now with the Spruce Kings. It's now being the go-to guy, but having a very steady and reliable partner in Andrew Ligas has also taken big steps forward this year for the Caribou Cougars. And I think overall, if you're the Caribou Cougars right now, you're really happy with the depth you have in goal.
Yeah, and I thought Ligas actually played pretty well on Saturday. I thought 2 of those goals that the Hawks scored were uncontested and sloppy defensive breakdowns. The 2 by Curtin, more specifically, and I thought that spoiled what looked to be a pretty good effort by Andrick on the Saturday game, but it's been a pretty good 1-2 punch all season long for the Cougars, and looking to see that continue the later we go into the season.
Very well said, and we're going to look ahead to the U17 AAA Caribou Cougars. They were on the road. They were playing the Chiefs down in the Lower Mainland this weekend, and suffered a very similar fate on the Saturday night, as they also ended their game in a tie, being unsuccessful of getting a goal in the overtime period for either side. A 3-3 tally there on the tie, and then they did lose today on Sunday, so not a great weekend for the U17s.
No, it just seems to be a little bit up and down after a slow start. The group hasn't quite found its footing just yet. There's still time in the season to turn it around, but you don't want to leave it too long into the season to leave it to chance and get on a hot streak to try and scramble for one of the final playoff spots.
Yeah, that's not the position you want to be in. I mean, granted, this U17 Caribou Cougars team has had some injury troubles early on in the year. They're still without a few players as it stands, but Brian Richter has been returned. He actually has come back, I should say, to the Caribou Cougars program, which resulted in Dylan Stanley being moved down to U17s. And so the U17s have gained some really good players, as well as goaltender Ramos Gadbois, who he ended up moving down to the U17 program with Jackson coming back from Seattle. So some good additions there for the U17 program, which is going to give them a good boost here as they try to pick up momentum closer towards Christmas.
Yes, and of course U15s, I believe, are on a bye this week. I saw them practicing at kid number 2 just before our game with the Hawks, and the Caribou Cougars U18 was going on, and of course Northern Capitals playing this weekend as well.
Yes, the Northern Capitals played this weekend. They weren't successful in getting the win to start off the doubleheader against the VI Seals, but they did come in with a big win today. So split for the Northern Capitals, who are still sitting second in the female division for the BC Elite Hockey League. And some of the offense is starting to pick up for some of the players on the roster, as I think their team is really starting to take shape here.
Yeah, and despite a coach change early in the season, Capitals maybe playing that more offensive game. There's more than enough skill on that team to take a bit of a run here at it for a championship. I know the Comets are kind of looking all world right now this year, back on top to where they were a few seasons ago. But the Capitals just keep building momentum, similar to the U17s, although the Caps in a little bit better position in terms of where they are in the standings. So it's nice to see the girls get some confidence here after another weekend.
Yeah, it's good to see the confidence coming from this Northern Capitals program, which we've mentioned before. They've had a few down years with a lot of the departures of that really deep Capitals team that went on that big run not too long ago, and so kind of reshaping that identity and bringing that program back up to where it was a few seasons prior is a really good thing to see for this Northern Capitals program, and I feel like right now they have the pieces, coaching-wise and on the ice, players to really make a good year this year.
And of course, moving on, our guest this week, Fort St. James product, Tri-City Americans defenseman and signed Utah Hockey Club prospect Terrell Goldsmith will join us on the show. I had a chance to catch up with Terrell shortly after he signed his contract, and don't look now, but Tri-City up very quietly near the upper echelon of the Western Conference. They were 9-3 last check. They're on the ice against the Everett Silvertips during this recording. Tri-City, after a down year last year, made that big trade with Prince Albert, shipping Dragicevic to the Raiders. And while the Raiders have a young up-and-coming team, the Americans have done a good job of continuing to win games early on. They've done it a few different ways, and they're starting to score a little bit too. So a resurgent year for the AMs in the ultra-competitive U.S. division.
Yeah, I mean, that Americans team heading into this season, you could look on the on the roster. They have some really good players. Jordan Gavin really leading the charge offensively for them. Lucas Macheka in goal has he had some moments last year. He was really good, stealing games, being in that performance for the Tri-City Americans. We didn't quite see, I think, the best of him at times last year too. And this season, he's looking really, really good for that Tri-Cities club. And Terrell Goldsmith being a really good addition, a big physical presence on that back end. And Tri-City usually a team that plays a very physical, solid brand of hockey that way. Him being a really good fit on that blue line, a 19-year-old, a veteran presence for them, and looking for playoff aspirations. Come time for that, he's going to be a key piece to their success.
Of course, sticking with the Western Hockey League, Prince George Cougars just one game over the weekend, winning 6-3 in Kamloops. Cohen Zimmer a hat trick in that game. So a good showing by the Prince George Cougars after becoming victorious in a 4-1 effort against the Moose Jaw Warriors on the Tuesday. Prince George maintaining its lead in the BC division, although Victoria getting a comeback win over Saskatoon on Sunday, down 4-1 at home, winning 5-4 in a shootout. Speaking of the Blades, they are in Prince George on Tuesday to take on the Cougars. Blades still looking for their first win on that BC division road trip, losing 7-6 in Vancouver on Friday, 5-4 shootout loss to the Royals on Sunday. So the Blades are going to be hungry for their first win on the BC division road trip. And kind of full circle of this, Cameron Schmidt and the Vancouver Giants, a very good weekend, 7 against the Blades, 6 against the Warriors. 5 goals overall for Schmidt. He's off to a red-hot start in the season, up near the scoring lead in the entire Western Hockey League as a 17-year-old. And while the World Juniors are mostly an 18 and 19-year-old player tournament, if he keeps up this torrid pace, do you think he might get a look in terms of an invite as a 17-year-old come Christmas time?
I mean, the way I'm looking at it right now, Cameron Schmidt is a goal a game as a sophomore in the Western Hockey League. The way that he skates, he's dynamic. He has that nose for the net that you just can't teach. So if I'm considering, offensively who I want to bring in for my Team Canada roster, I think Cameron Schmidt could make a real case, as you said, if he continues to keep this pace. But he's been very dynamic, one of the most electric goal scorers in the Western Hockey League this year, and I think there's a really good chance he might get that look.
Yeah, obviously they're still about a month before they make their decision in regards to the selection camp. There's also talk of the likes of Josh Ravensbergen being a second or third goalie, Riley Height in that mix as well. for Prince George Cougars after getting snubbed last year. You would think he'll get at least an invite this year to go to camp to try out and get a hard look see. Braden Yeager of the Moose Jaw Warriors, who was just here, he'll likely have a solid crack of making that roster as well. So a lot of good names to choose from if you're Hockey Canada between now and the start of December during that World Junior Evaluation Camp.
Yeah, it's like you said, a lot of time. And even if not this year for the likes of Cameron Schmidt, you're going to look at next year. And, it's a really good thing for him. I mean, if he doesn't make it this year, he still gets that added drive to keep pushing, to keep growing his game. But, for a player like Cameron Schmidt to get that opportunity so early in his junior hockey career, that would be a really cool thing for him.
And it has happened where you've had the odd 16-year-old, 17-year-old prodigy, as it were, or highly touted draft pick or draft choice, depending on when their birthday lands, getting that invite and a lot of the times making the most of it.
Well, exactly, and it's such a big opportunity, right? And you look at it, for the whole talent pool that Hockey Canada has to pick from. There's so many big names, a lot of talent in the junior ranks that they have to choose from, and so it's going to be very interesting to see who gets the invite to camp and who finally eventually makes that roster come Christmas.
Of course, played a highlight of Will McKay devouring somebody with the Portage Terriers. He's off to a good start there. Decker Boynchin off to a good start with the Terriers as well. Scott Cousins chipping into the few games also. So no shortage of northern content on the Portage Terriers. They continue to climb up these standings of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. In the BCHL, it was a pretty good weekend for the Prince George Spruce Kings. Much like the Caribou Cougars, 3 out of 4 points, dropping a hard-fought 4-3 decision to the Victoria Grizzlies on Friday, but on Saturday, exploding for 8 goals against the Grizzlies, winning by 6 on home ice, and after falling short, not making a shot on goal on a clear-cut breakaway in overtime on the Friday, Kazuma Sasaki making no mistake with a hat-trick in that game with 3, and almost a statement win for the Spruce Kings as they set things up for another Island Division rival next weekend in Cambridge Valley at the Cope Harbor Royal Arena as they try and get on a roll here this season in the BCHL, trying to get out of that race for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and to just improve their standing, because you don't want to be too far down in the pecking order, deep into the season. Obviously you have to play playoff style hockey at that point because the desperation is there, but the Spruce Kings can improve upon their standing and take the lightning in the bottle, as it were, from Saturday's victory. We might see a much more confident Spruce Kings team on the ice game than it came on.
I mean, the big thing with the Spruce Kings is a hard time putting the puck in the net, right? The confidence offensively hasn't always been apparent with this Prince George Spruce Kings roster. It seems to really have started to turn with the addition of Montroy, who's been a horse offensively. And you could see it when I was there at the game there on Friday night. Of course, it ended up being a loss, but you look at every time that Montroy was on the ice, the team picked up its game, and you can tell that he's a player that he energizes the guys around him. He's a guy that builds up his teammates, and so when I look at it from that perspective, and just the heart that they showed in that comeback victory on Saturday after dropping the first game of the doubleheader, you're looking at a team that's very confident, that has started to find that touch. And they do have the talent. Kazuma Sasaki has been a very notable player for the Spruce Kings, not just this year, but last year. And a few other names there that have been pitching in. Mason Lowen got a goal this weekend. And just overall a really talented performance for the Prince George Spruce Kings in that Big 8-2 victory. And if you're a Prince George Spruce Kings fan or a Northern Hockey fan, you're going to be excited to try and see this Spruce Kings team that is looking like they're looking to elevate their game.
Another guy I want to mention too, Lyndon Matko scoring a goal on Saturday's victory, Skogan Shrott, 3-point game. There's another guy that I'm probably missing here that also had a multi-point effort for Prince George, but the 4 players that had 3 points or more in that contest. Montroy was actually the playmaker on his line in Saturday's victory. So adding some versatility to his guys and game and giving some other guys the opportunity to put the puck in the net. Montroy has more than proven himself so far in the early stages of his PCHL tenure, but to have some other players chip in, feel a part of it, get their confidence going, that can be contagious for a team that has been unable to string a lot of wins together.
It's well said there, and I mean, you look at the pace of the game. The BCHL has certainly gone faster over the last few years, and being able to bring in a lot of those guys that can play at that pace, but also fit the game at that pace and bring that presence and that confidence to your team. That is a really good thing, and I think Mike Hawes, who historically has done a really good job at bringing those elements into his structure, into his team, and be able to see him do it again this year is a really good sign.
Of course, in the KIJHL, Williams Lake Mustangs having a good weekend, winning 2 at home. Cornell won both their games at home ice as well. Dicker, of course, as you mentioned off the top of the podcast here, 9-5 winning his first KIJHL start on Friday. Williams Lake winning 5-2 on the Saturday. Cornell enjoying similar success on home ice, and I think Isaiah Bagger now up to 13 goals on the season for the Cornell River Rush. It's been a happy homecoming for him as he's the catalyst offensively for a River Rush team that's been able to put the puck in the net at times. They haven't necessarily always come out on the winning end of things, but both teams like Caribou showing some flashes of what they're capable of.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a good string of Caribou Cougars alumni now that have gone on to the junior ranks that they had a lot of success here. They were a part of some really good teams here with the Caribou Cougars, and now they're just taking that momentum and carrying it on into the junior ranks. And you talk to a lot of these players. You talk to like Decker Moychin, you talk to Scott Cousins, Lyndon Mackow, Carter Husselgrave, Mason Lowen, Ryder Green. A lot of these guys, they know what hard work is, and they know what it takes to get to that next level. And they have those core fundamentals that's been instilled in them by the coaching staff, Tyler Bruff, RJ Barra, Jordan Duncan. Those values and those fundamentals that they develop here are proving to be very successful as they exit into junior hockey and further.
Of course, we have John Sale, Merrick Mamet with the Humboldt Broncos as well, Landon Alexander, Reed Arbery with Flin Flon Bombers, Owen Wilkinson and LaRange. There's a lot of SJHL teams that are employing these northern-born forwards that have come through the Caribou Cougars in the past years. It's nice to see, and it's not just that level where it stops. It's the collegiately in the ACAC. Last week we had Anna Stewart, Sage Moore talking about building up with the Rattlers, Abby Bryant, Keegan Goulet, Jessa Brewer, Cameron Ward, Penelope Johnson. The list goes on and on and on. Must be something in the water here in the north where not only are they putting in the work, but they're getting the results, and they're also getting noticed.
Yeah, and it's really incredible. Like for the northern region, we have a lot of remote places, and we have the furthest travel for every single program, and so it is commonly believed that more mainland areas, Okanagan, a lot of these places that are a little bit easier to get to, a lot of the athletes get more noticed. But what we're seeing here is that whether it's the recruiters coming in, whether it's our coaching staff here making the calls, either way, we're getting our players going on to bigger things, and it's a really good path of development here for athletes in the north.
Also wanted to mention that Logan Hauk has now joined the Williams Lake Mustangs after spending the early part of the year with the Drayton Valley Thunder, the AJHL. They went through the entire coaching staff got fired early in the year, and that left a lot of players in flux, including Logan. So Logan now closer to home with the Mustangs in the KI as they continue to stockpile Caribou talent. Congratulations on Logan getting his first goal with the Mustangs. And now, without any further ado, we'll set it up for our featured interview of this week's episode. I caught up with Terrell Goldsmith, fresh off his brand new contract with the Utah Hockey Club.
With me now, Fort St. James product and Tri-City Americans defenseman Terrell Goldsmith. Terrell freshly signed off that entry-level contract with the Utah Hockey Club. How does it feel to get that all done and squared away?
Oh yeah, obviously it's a dream come true, for my family and me, a lot of hard work and sacrifice to get that done. And yeah, it's just the next step to going, to hopefully play pro, and that's my goal. And yeah, it's obviously huge. I'm obviously excited.
Of course, you were drafted by the organization when they were previously the Arizona Coyotes. You've been to a couple of their camps now. What's been I guess, the relationship between you and the organization, during those transitions? They've obviously, liked your progression as a player and thought highly enough of you to sign you. What's that been like over the past couple of years in order to get yourself in that position?
Yeah, obviously, I mean the development staff, people I've been working with, and everyone's kind of stayed the same, moving over to Utah. So I've had a lot of interaction with, my development guys and a lot of video, and they come out to visit me and, power skating and yeah, just working on areas in my game. So it's been a blast.
What's the adjustment to Kennewick been like for you? You were part of a blockbuster trade in the summer, going from Prince Albert to Tri-City. You're a handful of games in with your brand new team. You're among the leadership group on the Americans. What's it been like for you?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, getting to play in, new rinks and new teams, it's super fun. And obviously getting a leadership role, I get to, show my experience and try to lead these guys and go in the right way here. Just keep winning and try to make that next step. So yeah, just trying to, use my experience.
Where do you feel the Americans are as a team this year? The pundits maybe not necessarily placing them the highest in the standings, but you're with the guys every day. You've seen what your team has through a handful of contests so far. What do you like about your group?
Yeah, I think, we're a big group, I think, and we're fast. So I don't think teams are gonna like to play us, and we're gonna be hard to play against and physical and get on the forecheck and put pucks to the net. And yeah, so that's gonna be our game.
Yeah, you're kind of more of that shutdown, physical, stay-at-home defenseman by trade. At least it's been that way for you in your Western Hockey League career. When growing up in Fort St. James, Terrell, who did you kind of look up to growing up and kind of modeled your game after?
When I was that young, I mean, I loved Sidney Crosby, but that was more of a forward. So when I started to get, a little older, I liked Shea Weber, and then I started watching, Josh Manson and Joel Edmondson and guys like that, that are still playing and obviously done well in their careers. And yeah, I think they both might have a cup, and yeah, obviously play a similar game to me, and that's who I've been watching.
Of course, you're one of many well-known hockey players that have come through the Fort St. James area. Of course, you've got the Playfairs, you've got Brian Spencer, you've got a few other really good names from that area. What's it like to be from, a small rural community such as that, that's close by Vanderhoof and Prince George, and be able to get on that same track, as it were, play Major Junior with the hopes of one day making it to the NHL.
Yeah, obviously, I hope, yeah, just try to keep the hometown pride, and hope they're all watching, and yeah, just trying to take the next step. And yeah, it's obviously been pretty cool, getting to play everywhere, different places. So it's been awesome.
Do you know the Playfairs at all?
Yes, I think I know a little bit. Like a long time ago. Obviously, I haven't moved out of Fort St. James when I was around 10. So yeah, but I'm pretty sure I remember them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How would you best describe yourself as a player?
Oh yeah, I think like you said, I'm hard to play against. Good defensively and make my first pass, and yeah, try to add layers of offense to my game. Getting shots through and stuff like that, and yeah, just be physical and stand up for my teammates.
Yeah. What was your maybe earliest hockey memories growing up back home before moving down to, some of the bigger centers where you could enhance your development?
Yeah, and we obviously went all over. Oh, what's that one place called? Oh, there's one. There's up in, I think Houston's an area up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, little. tournaments, we have the parents drive up and we all go play a little tournament, stay in hotels, and yeah, it's what I remember. Get to go to the rink and get to play. My dad and my mom were pretty huge back then in my career, so being around the rink and trying to run stuff, so that was a blast.
Let's go back a couple years. You were drafted by Prince Albert, first round in the Bantam draft. Played a handful of seasons there. What was that moment like for you, knowing that you were a very highly coveted Bantam at that time, and you were taken pretty highly by the Raiders organization?
Yeah, I mean, even back then it was unexpected. I just wanted to play in the Western Hockey League. That was my goal, and obviously getting to play here now. I mean, I was one of those kids, and I lived in Prince George as well. I was giving high fives of the Cougars, down by the tunnel and stuff like that. So it was kind of my dream to get to play in the Western Hockey League, and now I guess I'm one of those guys for little kids and being a role model. So yeah, it was an awesome moment.
Did you have any favorite Cougar players growing up that you'd like to watch or try to emulate?
There was a number two. It was
Dan
oh,
Gibb?
no, what's his name? Wasn't Rob? No, it was something I can't remember, but there was like some Anderson guy. I can't.
Oh,
There,
Josh Anderson.
yeah, he played back then. He was obviously a tough guy. I remember him. Uh, what's that? It was like names are not in my mind right now. But Jansen Harkins was back there. Plays in
Yep.
the NHL now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard for me to remember. I was so young, but yeah.
Chase Watala, Jesse Gabriel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember covering those guys.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I got here in 2015, so I kind of remember that
Yeah.
was my first year covering when they traded for Gabriel and they had Watala and Morrison and all
Yeah.
those guys. So you were probably, still coming up through minor hockey at that time, and
Yeah.
that was the big line for the Cougars back then.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. What's it like living in Kennewick? I've heard a lot of really good things from players in the past and just how nice of an area it is. What's it like to be living in Washington State?
I mean, I love it. It's been great so far. I got great billets, and yeah, it's nice to have a change, and it's warmer here. So yeah, it's nice, be around new people and explore new stuff. So yeah, I've been liking it a lot.
Mhm. Uh, let's talk about the U.S. division for a minute. You're in a very tough division with the
Yep.
likes of Everett, Portland's retooling, but they're still up in the standings. Spokane's got a really strong nucleus. Uh,
Yep.
you're kind of right there, obviously, with another one of your division rivals. Everett's always strong every year. Um, what's it going to take to scratch and claw and get some points in that ultra competitive division?
Yeah, it's obviously a division. I think we're just not to play our game. I'm gonna have to shut down the top line, and yeah, we're gonna have to be hard to play against, like I said, and just try to will our way. I think, and I think we can definitely do that. So I'm looking forward to this year and see what we can do.
What's your pregame ritual or routine that you kind of like to do to make sure that you're at peak performance almost every night?
Uh, I wouldn't say I have anything that I like. Kind of just do. Say I like to be prepared. Obviously, eat pregame. Already have a nap. Eat pregame. Come to the rink. Stretch. Tape your sticks. Have meetings. Place a little bit of sewer. Yeah, just try to get mentally prepared. Body wise, and think about the game, and yeah, go for warm ups. Kind of feel the ice and be ready to go for puck drop.
Mhm. Let's bounce back to your time in Prince Albert for a second, if you
Yep.
can. That's another community that has a very hockey-rich history, community-owned team. Love
Yep.
the Raiders. You got the old rink there in the Art Hauser Center.
Yep.
What was it like to put on that jersey and just kind of gain the understanding for the that 3 years that you were there that there was a lot of really good names before you that have put on the sweater and there's a lot of tradition there in that organization.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was, an honor to get drafted and, you know, come up through and obviously develop me to getting drafted to Arizona. And yeah, it was a lot of there's the Mansons and lots of cool names that have played there and obviously a lot of history in the rink, with signs everywhere and it's a cool place, the fans are right on top of you in a way. So when they pack it, it's kind of it's not like the biggest rink, so it's cool when it's packed. It's definitely loud in there, so it was a fun place to play.
Mhm. Now, you took the sports school route to get to where you are. You elected to play for the Delta Hockey Academy for 3 seasons. Just
Yep.
maybe touch on your time there and that 2019-2020 season before it got cut short with a pandemic there. You had 19 points, 23 games,
Yep.
77 penalty minutes. Just maybe touch on the decision to go the academy route.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was in Prince George, and I wanted to, go to a bigger city, get a little more, looks scouting wise. I think obviously the academies are huge nowadays, for getting WHL scouts, and yeah, I got to go to the academy in grade 8. Ian Gallagher, Brian Gallagher's dad runs it, and got some good training, and kind of, I've been training there ever since. So obviously, going grade 8, played on Bantam Prep White, was one of the younger guys on the team, and that was fun, getting out with new guys. And then the second year I was there, like you said, 2019-20, we were a good team, and it was a fun year, and it sucked that COVID came, but I definitely think I got a lot of good looks playing there, and yeah, obviously working out and all that kind of stuff. It was great. So I lived at home as well, but it was a great experience.
Yeah. Even though the season got cut short when the pandemic was
Yep.
announced, did you feel in that second season in Delta you had kind of arrived to that point where you know yourself as a player was at that development peak as it were that you felt pretty close to ready to play at that WHL level?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was a bigger kid all my life, so I was kind of man amongst boys, I guess you could say, back then. So I thought I was, physically wise, I was ready to go. I was just kind of getting my, my skating and all that kind of stuff down, and developing at the academy, and like getting stronger and all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely good to, play there in grade 9. Then obviously grade 10, it was COVID year, but we still got to train a little bit. And then I got to play as a 15-year-old for the Raiders, which was awesome too. We got a little taste of the WHL. So yeah, it was worked out pretty well for me with everything.
How do you use your size to your advantage when you're playing in a game with the Americans or just in general? We talk about we often hear good sticks, body position, sticks and lanes, block shots, all those types of cliches. But what all goes into that for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, playing physical, I create room for myself out there, I think, and my teammates. So, yeah, I mean, always, obviously, having a big body, you can protect the puck more and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, yeah, play physical and just have good gaps and all that kind of stuff. So, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. You feel the playoffs are a realistic goal for your team this year?
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm striving for.
Yeah.
Yeah, no other options.
Mhm. Okay, here's a fun one for you. So
Yep.
you're stranded on an island with three of your teammates. Who are you picking to stay with you?
I like out of any of my team.
Yeah,
Three
anyone on the
teammates.
Americans.
Oh, it's like you're trying to get me to pick the smartest guys or the most fit guys. That's the thing. I don't know. Let's pick Jackson Smith. He's my D partner. We'll pick him. Uh, we'll go Brandon. Why not? And my billet brother, yeah, Evan Garland. So
Okay.
I got, yeah,
All right.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, not a lot of just yeah. I don't know. It's not thinking.
No, it's a new question I started to ask, and it's got kind of garnered that reaction every time. So I'm gonna keep asking it. Sometimes I've asked different players, and it's like, well, oh yeah, I like this guy because he knows how to hunt or fish, or this guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Talk about that.
You don't have any of those guys in your team?
Oh, well, if you guys from Calgary, I mean, they're more farmers. I don't know about anyone from, hunter and fishing. I don't know. Maybe, but not really.
You like to do any of that stuff?
I mean, growing up, I liked to fish and ride side by sides and do all that. But my family, I mean, I'd like to hunt, but we weren't really huge into it. My uncle did and stuff. But I mean, I definitely, miss that part of Fort St. James. I lived on the lake and stuff, so lots of outdoors and obviously living in Vancouver now, it's not really like that. It's a little
Yeah.
different kind of city life now. So,
Yeah.
well, in a way, I live in Tsawwassen. It's a little bit. It's by the ferries, so it's not necessarily like city,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's that was fun about Fort St. James, just being outdoors and yeah, getting to enjoy nature, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Because Stuart Lake's right by where you grew up too. Yeah.
I lived right on it, yeah. So we can just throw the boat in and go out. Yeah.
Did they ever like freeze the ice so you could play hockey on it, or do you have
Oh,
any outdoor rinks out in that area?
yeah. I mean, my phone. I have this is from my it's from my house right here in Fort St. James. Like this is the ODR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my rink. So yeah, we used to do ODRs all the time, outdoor rinks. Yeah, when in the winter it was cold out there, so we go ice fishing and stuff too. Did all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Probably some of your earliest memories probably
Yep.
came from playing on the outdoor rink. What do you remember about that?
I think my parents would always tell the story about how my one friend was over and I didn't know how to I just always tried to say I didn't know how to skate, but then he went out and I was like, oh, this is how you do it. And yeah, so that's I mean when I was like 4 or 5, I think I probably started on the OER. Hard for me to remember, but yeah, it was obviously had snowmobiles and stuff too. So my dad would get we had a side by side too, a Ranger, so he would get the plow on it and we'd plow the rink and then have some makeshift Zamboni, I guess you can probably put on the back with some hot water. Just try to make it like ice. So yeah, I love that part for sure.
Yeah. And there's always kind of maybe that sense of like freedom where like you
Yeah.
feel like you're playing like hockey night in Canada and you're
Yeah.
wearing the jersey of your favorite team or you're a
Yep.
certain player and it just seems like you have that all those kind of envisions kind of just flood you when you're on that outdoor rink. When you're on like a community rink or an indoor arena,
Yep.
there's still some of the same feelings, but there just seems to be that extra sense of authenticity when you're outdoors on the outdoor rink with your buddies. There just seems to be that extra thrill that isn't there necessarily on an indoor sheet of ice.
No, yeah, I agree. Obviously, my dad would skate around with me too. And then when I played in Prince Albert too, it was freezing out there. So we went to outdoor rinks there and that was fun as well as a team. So definitely been doing that a while.
Now, I know you're drafted and signed by Utah now, but did you have a favorite NHL team growing up that you like to cheer for?
Not even really now. I don't say I like all. I mean, I'm always with Utah, but I liked all the Canadian teams. Being Canadian before. But I mean, I like for a bit. I like Sidney Crosby is when I was younger. But I mean, I like Shea Weber, so I was watching Montreal at one point too. So I mean, I like to just follow lots of the Canadian teams, and obviously being Canadian, so it's kind of what I do.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me here on the Hockey North Weekly podcast, and wish you the best of luck this season with the Americans and beyond. And maybe we can do this again in the not too distant future.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you.
All right, that was Terrell Goldsmith of the Tri-City Americans, Fort St. James product, signed with the Utah Hockey Club, formerly the Arizona Coyotes, as you know, and talked about the size, we talked about the grit. Terrell just talking about growing up on the outdoor rinks at Fort St. James and understanding the hard work that he's put in. He did move to the Lower Mainland, 11 or 12. He did live at Prince George for a time, playing higher level hockey here, but a guy that's well traveled, someone's put a lot of time and effort and is finally getting rewarded. The stat sheet may not be eye-popping when it comes to the offensive numbers, but Terrell's done a good job of giving himself a well-rounded game to show the scouts each and every night when he's been in the Western Hockey League, now going on season number 4.
Yeah, I mean, Terrell Goldsmith, even at the WHL prospects draft, he was taken quite high in the first round by the Prince Albert Raiders. Even at that moment, he was already 6'3" and pretty much 200 pounds on the scale, and so he was a big prospect, and he's just only gotten bigger and stronger and faster since joining the Western Hockey League. And I think the unique thing about Terrell is he displays a unique sense of skill, right? He's physical, he plays hard, he can kill the penalties, he can also play on the power play. He's got a lot of those fundamentals that quite clearly NHL scouts did see as formerly the Arizona Coyotes took him in the 4th round, which is, a good place to be selected for a player that, has come from, Fort St. James, coming to the WHL, that isn't a point guy. He's very much a blue-collar player, but getting picked so high, and then now Utah signing him as he played here at Tri-City is a really good feather in the cap for St. James product.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. And then next week we'll be talking with another Northern Capitals alum in Hunter Mosher, now playing pro in Sweden. She'll be our guest at next week's episode. So lots more to look forward to here as we continue to shine a light on Northern BC born hockey players, past and present, with their respective AAA programs, now branching off, of course, into junior university and, of course, now pro. So that'll do it for another episode of Hockey North Weekly here. For my co-host Tyler Bazant, this is Brendan Paulu signing off here as we can another episode. Hope you enjoyed it all.